as an outsider, but yeah, admittedly a very passionate fan of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. First couple of months of the year were a little bit slower than I had hoped for, at least in comparison to the amazing announcements and things that we got towards the end of 2021. I think that changed this month with the long-awaited part 2 of the HDPR. We have a day-night system, we have weather, and that rain sound reminded me that I need to pee. Be right back.
One eternity later.
Okay, well, I'm back. And what was I talking about? What was it? Oh, the HDPR part 2. Well, this was a stream that I had to pause and rewind multiple times because there were things that I really enjoyed that I wanted to see again and hear again. One of the best things about this stream was mentioned at the very beginning, that this was not a tech-heavy stream. It was a stream filled with in-game footage. In-game footage, as in not in Unity. As in, this is there now. When I say in-game, it means like the footage was recorded in-game, but that doesn't mean that it's all completely implemented as far as I could tell. So specifically, this took place in Thronefast, a area of the game we've seen a lot of and we've seen change over the years. There was a lot of exciting things that they went over in the beginning, from climbable mountains to grass that interacts with player movement, trees that transition to pine trees as you went up in elevation. You had these trees that were swaying. And this made me think of The Witcher 3. And if you look closely, you can see the leaves are moving. And this is one of the things that I love most about a game like The Witcher 3, is it just felt immersive. Now, a lot of this biome was created through generation. A lot of the generation is not hand placed, but there is still the option for them to add in hand-picked items and tweak things once the generation has occurred. Allowing generation of biomes dramatically speeds up creating the world while still being able to set up specific points of interest and looks as they see fit. They pick the species of trees, grasses, climate, and elevation, and the tools generate it across a large area which they can then go back to and make tweaks to. This is a powerful tool as it could get us to launch faster without really sacrificing the integrity of the game. They went on to show the displacement of grass and bushes. It's subtle, and it's far from the most advanced displacement I've seen in the game, even in an MMO, but it still adds to the game. It actually brings back memories of EverQuest 2, which was the first game I played that had flora on the ground. It was static, and while it often added to the environment, it was clearly just kind of stuck there. Now, EverQuest 2 came out in 2004. So this isn't a direct comparison, but rather a memory it evoked. We're just gonna have to see where this goes. I don't expect it to look like New World, which has some of the best environment art as well as foliage displacement on certain objects, usually the ones that are destructible, but it could still be good. And now, before I get comments about New World that are going to torch me, especially because I had a somewhat decent review of the game that may or may not still be on the channel. I'm talking about the art specifically. I'm talking about the environment, which I think still holds up in New World. It is still a very pretty game. I mean, the lighting is still very good. The flora is still very good. The game is the garbage. Maybe that's a little harsh. I've always seen any kind of foliage physics as huge to making the world feel real. So even the subtle displacement is just one of the layers that adds to immersion. It may be the kind of thing you forget about, but still adds to your enjoyment of the game. It's either that, or it's perhaps I'm just a huge freaking nerd for grass movement. Flora nerds unite! All three of us. So now I'm done geeking out about grass. We can move on to Foliage Club? Foliage Club? It's retired. We're now the Water Club. Look at the little ripples and the waves. It's like the body of water breathes. The shadows on the water, holy shit, it feels real. It just looks and feels real. I want to jump in and also want to run the hell away because deep water is freaking terrifying. They talked here about how important water was to the game and how it's something you'll need to think about. I think this is a somewhat unique approach that makes me think more of a game like Subnautica than say Hedge Keep in EverQuest. Joppa said they want the water to be hauntingly beautiful and give a sense of both trepidation and exploration. I think so far it's kind of looking that way. If I was going to make any critique here, it was that perhaps the water looks a bit better than the ground around it. This is just my personal thought. This is not any knock on the game. It's just kind of how I viewed it. The water was that was just that good. It is not the best water I've seen in any game. There are games with better water, but as long as you can swim in it, New World, then it's gonna be an improvement. So we move away from the watery depths and the light movement of leaves and trees. The day-night cycle. For a while, we've talked about the day-night cycle in game, but we haven't seen it as far as I can recall. We've seen daytime and we've seen nighttime, but we haven't seen the transition. This is one of those things that is essential and important to make a world feel immersive. A good day-night system in a game can give me pause. I will stop to watch a sunset or a sunrise if it's done right. It's part of a game that just feels special to me. From a gameplay standpoint, the stream brought up the specter of Kithakor from EverQuest in my nostalgic memories by speaking to the potential for increased danger at night.
The things that come out at night.
As well as referencing things like NPC behaviors, and unique to Pantheon was stated that the perception system will be heavily tied to the day-night system because it's a physically based day-night system. This all sounds great to me. This sounds like it's another thing that will improve the game. It's something that I'm glad to see being finally implemented into the game. So this part gave me a chill. It gave me a chill because I can imagine logging into the game somewhere I've been hundreds of times before, then seeing this immersive change in the environment. I don't know quite what it is. Perhaps it's just because I haven't seen something like this before in a game. I have memories of storms in other games, but not something that is this transformative. Perhaps some of you do know. Perhaps some of you have experienced something like this in another MMO. If you have, I would love to know which one, because I think this is something that's really interesting to see. But there was one thing that Ronak said that gave me pause. It was in regards to the fog, to NPCs. What's hiding behind the fog? So come with me. Come with me on a little thought experiment here. Just imagine that there's an event in game. A dense fog has rolled in to an area that is always bright and sunny, perhaps with the occasional cloudy day. As you creep into what was once familiar terrain, you begin to hear sounds, rustling in the bushes, a branch snapping, and then off in the distance, how would you feel if that were to happen to you in game? What a system like this does is it opens up options. It opens up options for the developers to make interesting events, to make timed events, make seasonal events. It really expands their toolkit. There's another moment that I want to single out, that actually they singled out, perhaps even more so than the fog. Watch the lightning here and then listen to the thunder. Essentially, all of this adds to a word that has been perhaps overused, but fits. Immersion. Being able to be immersed in an MMO is special. To be able to feel like you're part of a world is something that sets apart a good MMO from a great MMO. Immersion is important in creating memories. It is not the only way to create memories, but it is an important part. It's a way to pull you out of the world you're in and into the world the devs have created. And every little bit adds to that. I'm not saying that weather and day-night systems are the only way to create an immersive environment. They're far from it. But they do add to it. And it is the thing that I kept thinking as I watched this video. And like with the first HDPR, it reinvigorated my excitement for the game. It touched a core memory for me as a lifelong fan of the MMO genre. And really, games in general, weather, day-night cycles, water, flora, all are those extra things that don't really feel like extras when you really think about it. Imagine The Witcher 3, but imagine The Witcher 3 without the swaying trees. Imagine The Witcher 3 with less immersive weather. Is it still the same game? It's potentially still a good game, but is it still the same game? I'm excited to see what the rest of the year brings for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I imagine that you are too. What I would like to hear from you is, what is a game that you felt you were immersed in? What is a game that had great weather features or great day-night cycles? Some people may think of the Elder Scrolls series. Others may consider a game like The Witcher 3, which I've mentioned a couple times. It's obviously the place where I'm going. But what do you think? What are some of the games that have had the most immersive weather and atmospheric effects? And are you excited about what you're seeing in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen? Has this, like it did for me, reinvigorated you for the year to come? Because I am damn excited. My name is Redbeard Flynn. Thank you for sharing this little bit of your day with me. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. It helps out the channel a ton. And I look forward to seeing you again next week.